I still can't quite believe what happened. I need to tell someone. Even if it's just warning you not to make the same stupid mistake that I did. For context, I run a YouTube channel. It's small, maybe 5,000 subscribers, and I explore abandoned buildings. Factories, schools, the occasional church. Nothing crazy. I wear a respirator. I don't touch anything structural, and I never go alone. My friend Marcus comes with me to film, and we're careful. We're not those idiots who fall through floors for views. 3 weeks ago, someone called JL1979 left a comment on one of my videos. They mentioned St. Jeremiah's Hospital, about 2 hours north of where I live. Said it had been condemned in 2011, but never torn down. The county kept pushing back the demolition date for logistical reasons, whatever that means. JL1979 said there aren't used to work there, and that the place wasn't right even before it closed. I looked it up. The hospital was a general care facility, nothing special. Closed after some financial mismanagement and a few malpractice suits. The building was still standing, surrounded by a chain-link fence with proper no trespassing signs. On Google Maps, you could see it. A 4-story brick structure with that institutional ugliness that only mid-century public buildings have. Lots of small windows, flat roof. We decided to go and see it. The fence had a gap near the back service entrance, not cut by us, it was already there. We slipped through around 9 PM on a Saturday. I know trespassing is illegal. I'm not proud of it, but also, this is literally what my channel is. We brought flashlights, the camera equipment, and Marcus brought his crowbar in case any doors were stuck. The first floor was exactly what you'd expect. Peeling linoleum, scattered paperwork, that specific smell of old buildings, mildew and dust, and something sour underneath. We filmed the reception area and the cafeteria with chairs still tucked under the tables. There was a kitchen with an industrial stove, and someone had left a coffee mug in the sink. It had a faded smiley face on it. I remember that specifically because Marcus made a joke about it. Something about how depressing it was. And I told him not everything needed to be content. The second floor was patient rooms. Most of the beds were gone, but the IV poles were still there, standing in the corners like metal skeletons. We got some good footage. The bathroom tiles were that specific mint green that makes you feel sick just looking at it. One room had children's drawings taped to the wall, all sun-bleached to almost nothing. I tried not to think about that too much. Third floor, same deal. More rooms, a nurse's station with filing cabinets hanging open. Marcus found a box of specimen jars in a closet, all empty and covered in dust. We were up there maybe 40 minutes. That's when we found the stairs going up to the 4th floor. They were behind a door we almost missed. It was painted the same industrial beige as the walls and had no window. The door was locked, but the frame was rotted enough that Marcus got it open with the crowbar pretty easily. The stairwell on the other side was narrower than the main ones, more utilitarian. Concrete steps and a metal railing. There was a sign that said, "Authorised personnel only, psychiatric ward." I didn't know St. Jeremiah's had a psychiatric ward. It wasn't mentioned in any of the articles that I'd found. We should have left then. I know how that sounds now, but at the time, it just felt like we'd found something interesting. We went up. The fourth floor was different immediately. The air was colder, but not in a drafty way. In a controlled way, like the air conditioning was still running, which didn't make any sense. Our breath wasn't fogging up though, so maybe I'm remembering that wrong. The hallway had the same linoleum as downstairs, but it wasn't peeling. It looked maintained somehow. The overhead lights were off, obviously, but our flashlight showed clean floors. No dust whatsoever. "This is weird," Marcus said. He's better at verbalizing things than I am. There were rooms along both sides of the hallway, maybe 8 or 9 in total. The doors had small rectangular windows reinforced with wire mesh, the kind you see in actual psychiatric facilities. I looked through the first one. The room was empty. Just a bed frame, no mattress. A small desk built into the wall. But the walls were covered in writing. Not graffiti though. This was different. It was the same sentence, repeated hundreds of times in cramped handwriting. "I can hear them breathing in the walls." Over and over, covering every surface, even the ceiling as far as I could tell. The writing looked fresh. The ink was dark, not faded. "Getting this?" I asked Marcus. He nodded with his camera up. The second room had a bed with a mattress. The mattress still had restraints attached to it. Leather cuffs, buckles, the whole thing. The strange thing is, they looked new. There was a tray table next to the bed with a metal kidney dish on it. And in the dish were human teeth. Just sitting there. Maybe 6 or 7 of them, molars mostly. I don't know why I looked closely enough to count them. I wish I hadn't. Marcus made this sound in his throat. Not quite a word. I'm not sure I've ever heard that sound before. But the third room is where it got worse. There was someone in the bed. I saw them through the window. Just a shape under white sheets, completely still. My first thought was a mannequin. It had to be. But then I saw the chest moving. Slowly, very slowly, rising and falling. "Marcus," I said. He was already backing away. The door to that room was slightly ajar, maybe an inch. I don't know why I approached it. Morbid curiosity, maybe? Trying to prove to myself it wasn't real. I pushed it open a little wider. The person in the bed was old. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. They were too thin. The face was too withered. Their eyes were open. Not looking at anything. Just open, staring at the ceiling. Their mouth was slightly parted, and I could see that they were missing most of their teeth. Their chest rose, fell, and rose again. There was an IV stand next to the bed, and a bag full of clear fluid hanging from it. The tube ran down under the sheets. The IV bag was half full. "We need to go, man," Marcus said from the hallway. His voice was tight. I backed out of the room and pulled the door closed. My hands were shaking and I couldn't figure out why. Objectively, a person being in a bed shouldn't be that scary. But something about it was profoundly wrong. The fact that they didn't react to us at all. We should have escaped right then. Just ran right out the door. I checked the fourth room instead. Another person, This one was younger, maybe middle-aged. Same position. Same open eyes. The same shallow breathing. No IV this time, but there was a feeding tube. I could see the pump next to the bed, and the LED display was on, showing numbers I didn't understand. The pump was plugged into the wall. The electricity was on in this ward. Marcus grabbed my arm. "We're leaving, right now." I started to agree, but then I heard it. A sound from further down the hallway. Not a voice exactly. More like humming, maybe. No, that's not quite right either. It was a sustained note, very quiet, coming from one of the rooms we hadn't checked yet. "Please," Marcus said. I walked towards the sound. I don't know why. I think part of me still thought there was a rational explanation. That maybe this was some kind of long-term care facility we just hadn't known about. That the building wasn't really abandoned. Except it was abandoned. The first 3 floors proved that. And why on earth would you put long-term care patients in a condemned building with no lights? The sound was coming from the second to last room on the left. The window in this door was covered from the inside. Someone had taped paper over it, but the tape was old and the paper had slipped a bit. I could see through the gap. There was a woman sitting on the edge of the bed. She was the one making the sound, that single sustained note. Her mouth was hanging open, and the note was just coming out, continuous, not even pausing for breath. She was wearing a hospital gown. Her hair was long and grey and hung around her face. As I watched, she turned her head and looked directly at the door's window. Directly at me. Her eyes were completely white. Not clouded like cataracts, just white, like someone had painted over them. But she was looking at me. I know she was. She stopped humming. In the silence then, I heard other sounds. From all the rooms. Shuffling. The creak of bed frames. A wet sound that might have been breathing. The woman smiled. Her teeth were black. Marcus yanked me backwards and we ran. He had his camera in one hand and my jacket in the other, pulling me towards the stairs. I remember my flashlight beam bouncing crazily across the walls, across the clean floors, across the door windows where I swear I could see faces now, pressed against the glass, watching us go. We hit the stairwell and Marcus slammed the door behind us. From the other side came a sound like palms slapping against wood. Not pounding, just patting, soft and gentle. We didn't stop running until we were back in the parking lot. We threw the equipment in the car and Marcus drove us back to his place. Neither of us spoke for the whole 2-hour drive. When we got back, we looked at the footage. The first 3 floors came out fine. You can see everything. The cafeteria, the mint tiles, the specimen jars. But the 4th floor is corrupted. Not all of it. You can see us walking down the hallway. You can see the doors. But whenever we film through the windows into the rooms, there's just visual noise. Static, basically. The audio is worse. That constant sound doesn't show up at all. Instead, there's a voice, very faint, saying something I can't quite make out. It might be saying, awake. It might be saying something else. I uploaded the video without the 4th floor footage. Just the first 3 floors. I played it off like we only explored those ones. The video did okay, nothing special. But JL1979 left another comment. You went up, didn't you? I didn't respond. Marcus won't talk about it. He deleted all his copies of the footage, and he told me he's done with the channel. I don't blame him. The thing that bothers me the most is this. I looked up St. Jeremiah's again, but deeper this time. I found an old article from 2009, before the hospital closed. There was an outbreak of some kind of infection in the psychiatric ward. 12 patients died. The article said the ward was permanently sealed after that the bodies were removed and the floor was quarantined. But the article also said the 4th floor was accessed by the main stairwell. But we found a different stairwell, one that wasn't on any floor plan I could find online. I think there might be more than one 4th floor. I think about those patients sometimes, how still they were, how the electricity was working, how someone had to be maintaining those IV bags, changing them, keeping those people alive. I think about the woman with white eyes and how she smiled at me. This morning, after I had my shower, there was a message written in the mirror. They want to meet you. I haven't rubbed it out yet. I don't know why. I'm not going back. I need to be clear about that. I'm not going back. But I keep thinking about that constant sound. How it didn't echo. How it seemed to come from inside my head instead of the room. And I keep wondering if the footage was corrupted, if none of those rooms showed up on camera, then what was I really looking at through those windows? What did I really see? I'm not going back. I'm not.